Well, it has been said by some that I don't like the French. That's not true. I mean, I do, you know, there is a Frenchman I do like, Jaypee. He's actually behind the camera as we talk now, and he's possibly, you know, an exception that proves the rule. But here I am now, taking my life in my own hands, and Jaypee and I are going to go and visit France. It's going to be very exciting. I think I'm going to try and absorb some of the culture. I have prepared myself for this. I'm trying to blend in. I've not washed for several weeks, and I have grown an outrageous moustache. Jaypee's going to provide a beret, and I shall try and find some onions later on. Do they do onions in Bordeaux?
I'm sure we can find some strings down there.
Okay, what is the French for onion?
Oignon.
Oignon. Oignon.
Oignon.
Okay. Le string de oignon.
Des oignons.
Des oignons, okay. Well, this is me, and I'm at Jaypee's house, and as you can see, I've got a bottle of wine here that's 30 years old. That's fuck all. And there's soap in the toilet that's older than that, because he never uses the stuff. It's French. Anyway, Jaypee and I are off to France really soon, and we're preparing for it by having some Cuvée d'Exocet. That is the sort of vintage year, 1982, and the other thing that was famous in France in 82 was l'Exocet missile. It used to sink HMS Sheffield, an Atlantic conveyor, and seriously damaged Glamorgan. Not the town, the ship. What we also have here is some fromage, panda, and bollocks, what's bread in French?
Pain.
Pain, yeah. But this is probably Elvis, made in England. But here we are. Now, one of the greatest things that I've ever tasted is this. Now, this is apparently Jaypee's dad's
Grandfather.
grandpappy home brew. A pear and plum thing. Now, this is somewhere in the region of 50% alcohol. Now, I've smelled medical alcohol and it doesn't smell much different. This is pure isopropyl. But I'll give it a taste because Jaypee's granddad made this. And he knew a thing or two about pears and plums, because the taste of that is just so delicate and they complement each other beautifully. And there's this lovely slow burn as it goes down into the gut. It's wonderful. It's not that rasping burn that you get with, you know, most homemade brews. This is a really nice, warming, soft burn. And I could use it, I think, to strip paint off a warship. Definitely.
And this one is only 48%.
Only 48%.
Oh, you might want to try that.
Just toss it off like it's a lager. Jesus. So what's that called?
That's called eau de vie, water of life.
Oh.
This is eau de vie as well.
Eau de vie? Eau de vie?
Although this is probably water of life and water of death.
Alright, so right, okay, guarantee me now that this doesn't contain semen.
This one, probably not. We might need to get another one for that.
Okay, right, let's give it a go, Jaypee.
Right, let's try this. Have you got a glass? Yes.
Well, I don't know, it sounds like it's screaming. Don't do it, don't do it.
I'll try that.
Does it leave a trace on the glass when you spin it? Let's just zoom in on it if I can. Oh yeah. Wait one. I think I've lost focus there. Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? There's
does,
a slightly oily film on there.
Yeah, it's very good leg on it.
A leg? Is that what that's known as?
Mm-hmm.
Jaypee, you're so French, you know all this stuff. Now, you've gone out, you might be a bit drunk, Jaypee, because your face is all fuzzy. Now, although this has a colour to it that the other one doesn't, it does have a slightly stronger flavour, smell to it. And
it does, yeah.
I would say that this is possibly not medicinal alcohol.
This is more brandy type.
There's no burn at all with this.
No, it's quite smooth.
Which is quite nice, yeah. But I would also say that there's not as much flavour. You know, you don't have that delicate edge that you got with this. And eau de vie.
Eau de vie.
Eau de vie.
Water of life.
Water of life. It's nice, but it's not as, I've got to say, it's not as nice as this. But the trouble is, I mean, I should look at these under a microscope. I'm sure there are sperm swimming in there. Actually, nothing could swim in there. They'd all die, wouldn't they?
Probably, yes.
Right now, I feel that if I have got any good bacteria or bad bacteria in my gut,
they've all been replaced.
Yeah, they're all begging now to stop drinking. Too bad. There is a definite, this is a much rounder flavour, but this is much more delicate. You get a fuller flavour with that, but this, you can almost separate the pears and the plums.
Yeah.
And this feels more like plum than anything. I don't know, what is that?
This one is just plum.
Yeah.
Or prune.
Prune. And then that will make me regular.
Yes.
So now, we're on to the wine. Actually, we've been on the wine for quite a long time. There's not a lot of it left. But as you can see, this is the Bourgogne, 1982. Year of the Falklands War. Big year for me. Girlfriend had left me after 3 years. Went out with Edwina Sugg. She was nice. But I remember my birthday. We drove to Scarborough, May the 29th, 1982, when these were still grapes on the vine. On that day, I didn't know that £2 had won a decisive battalion action at Goose Green. Outnumbered 6-1. Tremendous feat of arms. Anyway, this is the Bourgogne, and as you can see, it is a little cloudy, a little dusky, like some dusky French maiden. It is a bit cloudy, but as far as aroma goes, I think my nose may have been damaged by the eau de vie. My olfactory nerve has possibly sustained some irreparable damage. But I am getting a really fruity smell off that, and quite an oaky one too. The taste of this is so rounded, very, very mellow, and very light, and it's excellent with cheddar. The French make, I think, over 2,000 types of cheese, but they haven't come close to cheddar. Talk us through your clock. It's got a very interesting body on it, but quite an effeminate body. And who's the woman at the bottom?
I've got no idea.
Okay.
Do you know, for years and years, we couldn't see this picture at all. And my dad...
Is that because it was dirty, or...?
It was, yes. I mean, this clock has been in the family for generations. And one day my dad had it cleaned and restored, and suddenly this picture just appeared. And all this was had gone as well, and this was completely restored as well.
Okay.
And
so just so I'm completely clear on this, your dad was French, yes?
he was, yes.
Yeah, and he had it cleaned?
Yes, he had it. Well, it was... this had been in the family for such a long time, you just couldn't see anything anymore. Obviously, they hadn't cleaned it. They hadn't done anything.
Is that a typical French thing, that they don't clean stuff?
Well, you saw the soap bar, didn't you?
Okay, so it's right twice a day, at least?
Yes.
It's always 7:10, but it does work?
No, it does work. I'll just rewind it.
Does it lose anything a day?
It loses about 15 minutes every day.
Okay. Is this typical of French clocks? Is that why they're late for battles and things? Ooh.
Alright.
Is it okay?
It is okay.
It's not given up, has it? You know, like...
It's surrendered.
Très formidable. It is still You're not going to put the clock right?
Oh, shall we put the clock right?
Well, give it a go. Yeah. It's time for Germany to invade again. Hooray! Is this proper marquetry? Is that inlaid stuff, or is it? No,
Yeah.
It's engraved, isn't it?
It is engraved,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's not inlaid. Yeah. Did you see how I used the word marquetry there? That was quite skilled for me. I had a friend in 5-Man Commando whose only wound in 4 winters of Norway was a marquetry accident. He chopped off the top of his finger with a small blade. Oof. Well, it was cold.
0405, D-Day. The liberation of France has begun. We have missed the boat. The tide has gone. But we shall now take our news crew and we will go via the greatest air armada ever seen from Gatwick.
This is us. We're now at Gatwick. We were going for the liberation of France, but Jaypee was driving and we've missed the last glider launch by over 60 years, and we're now having to get a modern airport. Anyway, as it is the last we'll see of Britain, this breakfast is a breakfast. It is a proper breakfast. There is tea.
Croissants.
Yep. There's tea, and we've got snorkers, sausages, bacon. I didn't order the hash browns, I wanted toast, but anyway, that's what they gave us. And tomatoes and an egg. And of course, it'll all be great with HP sauce, which makes every breakfast a feast. British. Here we have a croissant. Here we have a cup of tea. Now, well, tea? No. This is a cup of tea. This is an espresso. Now, the Germans, who are very similar to us in their breakfast taste, enjoy a lot of meat with their breakfast, but not the French. This croissant, I think, is symbolic of why the French don't do terribly well against the Germans when it comes to combat by mid-morning. They're knackered, right? Whereas a proper German or British breakfast would last you forever. Now, I am going to eat this, but I am going to soup it up a bit with some non-French sounding Frank Cooper's strawberry jam and some good old country life butter from the man, grocer man. So, here we go. First off, these fabulously traditional foil packets with lovely butter, and then you come to a dilemma. What do you do with it? Do you slice it? Do you... Right, I'm going to go for this. Just slice it across there. A bit like disemboweling a fish. Open it up. Now, apparently these are made with so much butter that you don't need to put the butter on, but I mean, it just don't seem right putting jam on without butter, so here we go. Come on, Frank. There we go. Look at that beautiful British jam. Strawberry jam, of course, is a euphemism for being crushed by a tank or piling in from a parachute which hasn't opened. You are known then as strawberry jam. Still, never mind. Anyway, that looks good. Let's see what it tastes like. Now the thing is, with a British cup of tea, of course, you could dunk it, but it's not the same. No. I'm getting the jam coming through. Beautiful British jam. Lovely British butter. And I have to say that the pastry is very nice. But this cup, it's just no good for dunking. No good at all. Here we are in Jaypee's favourite restaurant. It's got a Michelin star and it's got 3 hats in some great guide that everybody talks about, this golden guide. And this is the soup. I'd like to have shown you me eating it, but I finished it. That is the soup. This is the bread. The soup, I've got to tell you, that spoon of soup was lovely. And the bread. Alright. But it seems to me if you want to get on in this business, think small. Some of you might be aware that I have a home in Appleby in Devon, and I asked for pasties, and this is what they gave me. But now, the wine, oh, yep, that's it, yep, Madame was out. The wine, what about the wine?
Oh.
Pardon, may I? No, may I? This is La Hostess, yeah, with the mostess, she is superb, okay. Is this your place? Do you own this place?
Yes, I am.
It is wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. I am totally taken away.
Thank you. This is my favorite waiter.
It is also my Benoit. Benoit. Oh. Okay. Splendid.
Explanation?
Oh, yeah.
Voici l'escalope de foie gras de canard poché dans un bouillon de mori.
It's a duck foie gras escalope
Yeah.
poached in a morel stew
Splendid.
Avec des haricots tarbés et des morilles sautés.
with sauteed morels and tart beans.
That sounds splendid. And yours is a cheek of something, isn't it?
Dessus, donc, ce sont les huîtres chaudes du père Rabot dans une nage crémée à l'huile de jus de truffe avec des Saint-Jacques caramélisés et son jambon Rabougo.
Merci.
So what do you think, JP?
I think it looks wonderful.
Yeah, très bien. I don't know how many courses we've had. I think it might be 7. We've just finished off with a totally redundant decaf espresso. I have had one of the finest meals I've ever had in my life. There is a lot to be said about France. Little of it good, but their cuisine, their service, the standard of food, their art is brilliant. It's brilliant. Now I am saying this, and there has to be a caveat. I'm not at all sober. I have had pasties. I have had this dessert wine from heaven, and I've had this bottle of red, which was just awesome. It was like the first bleed from a female angel. We finished eating ages ago, and we've had some dessert wines. It's really nice. Anyway, this is the bill for what turned out to be a 9-course meal here in France at a Michelin star restaurant. You'd never get in anywhere near it in London, and it was just the perfect meal in the perfect settings. You can probably hear the music in the background, and that's been nice. It's been subdued, it's really been mellow, and even the bill comes in a nice little box, which just, boy, that's a nice little touch. You might think it's a bit tacky or gaudy or whatever, but just check this out. Next to us there was another couple. Sorry, that means that me and Jaypee are a couple, but we're not a couple. We're not at all queer. Jaypee's actually got a girlfriend. I haven't at the moment, but I am looking. But check this out. This is a table. It is space to serve a few more covers, but they'd rather not. They'd rather provide a bit of privacy for the people that are eating. That's wonderful. This guy limits himself to 25 covers per day, and he won't compromise on that. And as a result, the quality of the food is superb, absolutely superb. I mean, everything about the place just reeks of a really nice touch and taste. You look behind, there's this wonderful candelabra, no longer lit. They've upped the lights now. But look at that, it's just great. And over there is a pig in wood. Looks like a fossilised pig in wood. A wonderful sculpture. I don't know if you can see it. I can see the snout and the eyes with the ear flapping over it. I don't know. I have had possibly the finest meal I've ever had, and I've had it at a price that was less than that of a rather shit curry on Villeneuve Street in London. You can't say better than that.
Okay, go ahead. So you can.
Hang on. We've got to do a photo as well.
Okay. This is day 2 of France. Jaypee and I having a wonderful time. I'm about to enjoy Jaypee's swimming pool. It's a bit nippy today, but if the pool's there, you've got to enjoy it. Got to get out, got to get a bit of vigorous. I am, of course, completely naked, and this doesn't mean I'm a queer, just because Jaypee's the only other person here. It just means that I don't have to get anything dried after I've been for my swim, which I expect to be rather invigorating. Just to feel the cold creep up the body. It's an incredibly refreshing experience. Oh, there we go. The tackle has now hit the water, and I'm beginning to really feel almost unmanned. Oh, there we are. Oh, now just get a bit of movement around my legs. Incredibly exhilarating. Oh. Whoa. Right, this then what I'm eating now is this. Those are peppercorns and things, and this is some sort of meat which has been smoked, cooked to soften it up, and then I think injected with perspex, which makes it incredibly hard to chew. It is incredibly tasty, but God, it's tough.
Well, this is the house. So if you want, I'll take you for a quick tour around.
Oh, great, Jaypee, that'd be brilliant. Yeah.
So obviously, this is where you come in.
Okay.
I'll show you the room that's used the
Is
most.
there a French word for where we come in?
The door.
The door, la porte. Okay, yeah, and this is this a vestibule?
It is, yes.
Did you call it a vestibule?
No, we call it. I don't know what we call it.
The hall?
The hall. L'entrée.
L'entrée. Okay, okay. What, sorry,
You will realize that l'entrée is the same as the starter.
L'entrée? Ah, l'entrée.
Yeah.
Well, food is everything to the French, of course.
Talking about food.
Yes.
Let's go to the room that's used the most.
The room that's used the most. Of course. France. The kitchen. Oh, hello.
Oh, you've got to try these.
Yes. Oh, right. I will give that a go. Okay. Oh, God, that's tough.
Yeah, a little bit tough.
Oh, yeah, there you go. It's good though. Oh, you're right. Right, crikey.
So,
Okay, so.
comes onto the garden.
Oh, that is nice. That is lovely.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is, what a great kitchen. Look at that, a little sort of low table area. I love the way you could prepare food and chat to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the thing. So,
So if we carry on from here.
well, what's in the cupboards? Ah, crockery. So you do eat off plates. That's
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought that was a myth. But oh, this isn't a cupboard. It's a fridge.
Lots of cheese.
Ah,
Lots of pate.
yeah. Seen the pate, cheese. There's vegetables down there.
Oh no, we don't use that.
Okay. Marvellous.
That's just for decoration.
What a great kitchen. Absolutely great kitchen. Look at that. Oh, it's got a sink. I suppose you wash the food.
No, not.
You know, I didn't mean you wash each other. Oh, I remember this now.
Last night.
Yeah, we had a game last night. That was good. Oh, and someone's repaired the tile. Right, good. That's nice. Oh, an oud. Is that an oud?
It is.
An oud.
Oh, mandolin.
A Syrian mandolin. Do you play?
No.
Oh, so this is
Actually, I can.
okay. Oh, go to it, Jaypee. Oud. That is so rock and roll.
Right.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love that particular track as well. Wonderwall, marvellous.
Yes.
Wonderwall. 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 Yep. Now over here, books. I assume the books are in French, with a possible exception of this one.
One of them is in Chinese.
The little red book.
Yes.
Awesome.
Actually, it's in French.
In French. Of course, French Indochina. You owned Vietnam before,
Anyone else?
before the Viet Minh, and then they took it off you, and then America took it for a while and lost it again. Marvellous. This meat really is good. So, if people were coming to stay, I mean, there's a table there, but there's an awful lot of bits that you can add to it.
Yeah, you can extend the table.
So, great big indoor dining area, but
We don't tend to eat inside anyway.
everyone would eat outside by the pool.
Yes.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Great. Marvellous. And what's the significance of the antlers?
I don't know. We found them in the house. I can't remember where they're coming from.
Marvellous. Oh, and you've got a proper wood burner. Marvellous.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. And that's a television.
Yes.
Sony.
We haven't used that for some time.
What would be what is that? Oh, dust.
Dust.
Yeah, dust. Right. Well, to be expected, really. Okay. Oh, view from the front of the house. Marvellous. Indigenous population driving right to left there. Okay. Where to now, Jaypee?
Shall we go upstairs?
No, what, did you say you had a cellar?
We can go to the cellar.
Oh yeah, good call. Ah,
There is a song.
read on. Oh, hello.
To the entrails of the house.
Oh, hello. What have we got here? Beer. Beer. Indian tonic water. Oh, yeah. This is a French house. So is this the air raid shelter when you were surrendering during the war?
No, the house wasn't built then.
Oh, okay.
But we were preparing for the next one just in case.
Of course. So, oh right. So this is what a French cellar
Yes.
looks like. What did I expect? Is that more eau de vie?
That's prune. Yes.
Oh, prune.
And that's pear.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to getting stuck into some of those later. I know I don't normally do sort of local homebrew and like that sort of stuff, but over here it is brilliant. Oh, what? Those are gators.
Yes. Stuff from
First World War gators.
first or second. They could be first, I suppose. I don't know.
I don't
That's either
know.
my grandfathers or great grandfathers.
Right, that leather gators. They could use a bit of and a water bottle.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's amazing. Look at the old leather webbing on that.
And the shape.
Yeah, it's wonderful. The shape is good. Yeah, it's ergonomic, isn't it? Sort of fits on the hip. Nice. Nicely. Proper hip flask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, it doesn't stop you running.
Of course, yeah, because it fits so well.
Yes.
It doesn't bang your hips when the enemy come and you
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
Right, oh yeah, that's good call. I'm impressed with the amount of wine bottles here. And
Yes.
there is some stuff. This is it's a trove. It's a treasure. Cointreau.
Yes.
The calibre on tout l'enrichissant, literally a delicate balance between the wines, the herbs, and the living warmth of the spirit. You follow? No, but I will sleep with you anyway. Okay, right. So that's the cellar then.
Look.
What? That's prune. Prune. Now all of this stuff's going to keep you regular, isn't it? There's a lot of prunes here, but everything. Look, there's an old meat safe. Look at the scales.
Oh, and some prune.
And more prunes. More prune juice. Vent the coin. There is everything here. Absolutely everything. And what's around the corner here? Well, it's all a bit dark.
More wine.
More. Oh, of course, yes. More wine. Have you got a light?
I might have to.
And of course, gherkins, pickles, olives. I'm not seeing any garlic yet.
No, we've run out.
Oh, Halloween, of course.
We need to.
Halloween,
we need
just
to
a
go
while
there.
back. You needed to keep the vampires away, I suppose. Okay, Miami Vice. More. Bloody hell. Old Oxford, that's port. You've got a bottle of Old Oxford port.
Yeah.
How old is the Old Oxford port? Bring that out. Let's have a look. Oh. When was that laid?
There's no year on it.
They probably didn't bother with years in those days. Well, who's the manufacturer?
P&V. Palomino and Vergara.
Uh-huh.
Growers and shippers.
Yeah, it's some sort of Portuguese.
Yeah.
Oh, marvellous. Gosh, there's some stuff here that's really old. Was that 1976? That's older than some of our friends.
73.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Right then.
Yeah, some of these are a few years old.
Okay, shall we go back up, see the rest of the house?
Yeah.
I was very impressed with your staircase earlier. Very impressed.
Marbled. The grand staircase.
The grand staircase. Beer, and a few mixers. Right, so le staircase.
The grand staircase.
How does one say staircase in France?
L'escalier.
L'escalier. Ah, l'escalier grand.
Le grand escalier.
Oh, le grand escalier. Ah, what is this? Oh, this is that extension we saw from the outside.
That's the one.
Oh, nice little office space. Nice views. Simple wardrobe, IKEA, $39.99. Yeah, nice views from the window. Gosh, that's an interesting looking bed. There's remote controls on the bed. Whoa. And a view of the pool. You know, I bet that water's a lot warmer now.
Yeah,
Like the sun sitting. All the frost has come off the tiles now.
You might have gone up by a degree.
Yeah. Oh, this is lovely. Imagine this. And you, obviously, if there was a lot of people coming to stay, you could have camp beds in here and more. Yeah.
Just line them up.
It would be brilliant. Absolutely awesome.
You'd have to fight on who's getting the bed.
Yeah, of course.
And
What is this?
That's just the bathroom.
Okay.
there's a bedroom here.
Yeah, I just want to look at it. This is a bathroom. Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
Has it?
That's it. We don't tend to use this.
You don't use the bathroom. Okay. Oh. Huh. There's no soap. There's no. No, there is soap. It's never been used.
I didn't even realise it was here.
Okay, right. Oh, this is where I'm staying, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, I got a bit confused there. Yeah, this is my bedroom now with my pyjamas laid out and the towels that are nice, drying nicely on the radiator. It was a lovely thing today to be woke up by the sun. Came over the hill over there and it hit me in the face. Not literally, of course, because it's 3,500 degrees centigrade on the surface of the sun and I would have melted, but it was nice. And that reflection up from the water in here, it just lights the room beautifully. How good is that? Yeah, so I would like, you know, if we come back en masse, I would like to share this room with someone nice. There's a mirror.
We can.
Good.
Not queer.
No, not at all queer. No, not at all queer. So, and the other bedrooms are just bedrooms, I take it. Okay. So, and we've got space in it. That is Jaypee. Thank you so much for showing us around your home. Okay. I just got to go for, just want to freshen up. Cannot believe this place. It's a beautiful bathroom. EU legislation made sure that all French homes had to have it. They rebelled, but they put them in and they just don't use them. Europe. Okay. So, Jaypee, tonight we've not gone to eat out. We've eaten rustic with some of your favourite foods. And to me, these look like sliced meats. We've just had a lovely vegetable soup. I'm just finishing mine there, which is marvellous. And you've prepared a lovely salad. What is that in the salad?
There's just leaves, tomatoes, and a few carrots, and a lot of oil and vinegar.
Okay. And what's this?
Rillettes.
Rillettes de Mar. What is that?
These I don't know if these ones are pork or duck. It's like a pate, but it's a textured pate.
Okay.
Which is quite stringy.
Yeah.
And lovely.
Righto. Okay. And what do we have over here? What are these two lovely slabs of things?
Now this one is just a normal countryside pate
of
pork. This one is called head cheese.
Head cheese.
Head cheese.
Yeah.
Fromage de tête.
Fromage de tête. And what does that mean? Is it a superior cheese?
It's very superior. It's actually it's not a dairy cheese, as you can probably see.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, obviously, yeah.
It's a cheese made with the cow's head, brains, eyes, everything really. You just like mix everything together, put a bit of jelly, and it gives you this wonderful texture.
The dirty bastards.
And as you can see, the texture is lovely.
Yeah.
And we will try this in a second.
Yeah, we will. And this?
And the final one, this one is called gratin.
Gratin.
Yes.
Oh, that's cheese, isn't it?
It's not, no.
As in, no?
No.
Cauliflower au gratin? No?
No, not gratin, graton.
Gratin. Oh.
Graton is, it depends. Further north in the region they call it graton, in the south they call it grillon, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's when you prepare either a duck or in this case pork, in the countryside here they used to eat everything. When you finish processing everything or preparing pate, you would just like scrape all the leftovers and there'd be fat and bits of meat and everything, and you would combine it together to make a really nice pate of leftovers.
Guts,
Yeah.
liver,
Yeah, everything.
internal organs,
Yes.
testicles.
Oh, probably. I can probably see some of it.
The dirty bastards.
Splendid.
Anyway,
Well,
would you like some?
I am really looking forward to this evening's dinner.
So, in this country, I told you what they do with the soup. When they finish the soup,
Yeah.
it's something called chabreau. So you eat normally all the solid stuff in the soup. It's normally
Yeah, it's
more for
just
like vermicelli
Bits
soup.
I can't get around from the edge now.
Yeah. So what you do to just rinse it out, you would pour a little bit of red wine in the soup.
You want
Trust me
to
on
pour some
this
red
one.
wine in the soup.
Trust me on this one. Yeah.
Right.
And then just like turn it round quite nicely. And try this and let me know what you think of it.
So I've got vegetable soup and red wine.
Yeah. It normally wouldn't be with vegetable soup, but try that. You will quite like this.
You sure?
Yeah.
That is surprisingly good. What do you call that?
Chabreau.
Chabreau. Right, what we've got in here is the vegetable. It's a green vegetable soup. I couldn't get you know it's like this bit, and they've told it. Yeah, well you got the idea. It's great. And the bowl's almost clean. Très bien. Okay, let's go and eat some head.
Yep.
Okay, Jaypee, what's this bit again?
That's the head cheese, fromage de tête.
Right, so this is all the products of the head: brains, ears, tongue, eyes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and a bit of gherkin.
Yeah.
Okay. If you try to forget what it is, it tastes wonderful. That really is nice. I suppose that's how people in Papua New Guinea can still eat each other, is they try and forget what it is they're eating. Yeah, there's no ice on the water as such, but there is on the canopy, and there certainly is on those handles there. I've just used one of those handles to support myself and almost slid in. I do think this is a rather clever scheme. I've had worse. There it goes, look at that, that's a nice shot as it comes over the top.
Gosh, it's so icy.
Yeah. So, this is the hardest bit of it. Getting into the water's not hard. Swimming's not hard. But this is a fucking torture. Refresh me again, Jaypee, of why, Jesus, look at the ice there. Why we have to have this essentially a roof. It's a proper structure. I mean, there's
It's a safety cover, yeah.
so the safety cover. Why do you French have to have a safety cover?
Well, It's just in case somebody falls in. When you have a pool, you have to have either an alarm,
Yeah.
or you have to have a locked fence around it,
Yeah.
or you have to have one of those safety covers, which is on pretty much at all times, just in case somebody falls in.
But people would be around the pool all the time. I mean, it's not like. I mean, when you've got a family pool like this, it's rare to find someone on their own around it. I mean, it's just not someone's going to fall in, are they? I mean.
Unfortunately, if someone fell in and drowned, and even if it was like a burglar coming in and jumping in the pool and drowning, you would get done for manslaughter here.
Burglars
Burglars.
falling into your pool while they're burgling your house.
Yes.
Drowning, and it's your fault.
Yes.
That's clever.
French rules.
Look, French laws, eh? Oh, well. Do you think it's just a tax on the sort of adequately wealthy, though? I mean, you're not super rich, Jaypee. And as French houses go, and I've seen a few around here, this is like a proper middle class house. It's not,
Yep.
you know. I mean, I think people do very well in France.
Yep.
But you know, to have a swimming pool in Britain, of course, you've got to be loaded.
Yes.
But in France, it's
Well,
and this part particularly because it's
it's really warm
not
here
warm
in the
today.
summer, so
Yeah.
it's fairly common for people to have pools in the garden here.
yeah.
And it's probably a way to try and deter people from having them.
And from buying a luxury,
Yes.
a little bit of luxury in your life. You see, the thing is that I know it's the Republic, but actually, by making it ill-affordable for the lower paid, they're creating the greater poverty divide,
Yeah,
and
true.
that's got to be counterproductive.
Yeah.
I mean, if you took it to its extremes, you'd say, no, Mr. I'm going to have to say Sarkozy because your other fellow keep forgetting his name. But you can't have a pool because, you know, you're the president and we've all got to be peasants. It's just... Oh, shouldn't have done that. It's just not right, is it? Are we about there for that flip now?
Have you seen the temperature, the thermometer in the pool? Where was it gone?
It was floating earlier, wasn't it? Right.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Does that say 10 degrees? Yes, I think it is. Yeah.
British man abroad. Oh. Quite a bit of frost on the tops of those trees, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, it all looks quite Christmassy. I mean, the great thing is it'll all burn off in a few seconds. You've got the sun coming up. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be that cold later on. I think, you know, the sun will come up, burn it off, get it all a bit warmer. But it really didn't get much above freezing yesterday, did it?
No.
With the sun.
Well, around midday was all right.
Yeah. Yeah, but around midday we were sat in a restaurant and
Stuffing ourselves
and
again.
having a lot of fun. No, I wrote a nice piece about that today, about the award of the Partisan d'Honneur, and it goes on about something. Never have I left a restaurant more satisfied, you know, but not full.
Yeah.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be bloated to be in the thing. The water's about the same as it was yesterday. It feels about the same.
Yeah, it's about 10 degrees.
Yeah. Okay, well, if there was anything to be seen in shot, it's just disappeared. Right, so I know we're doing a thing called Tower to Tour. You know, the crossing, and a large part of that is the training for the swim. But I'm calling this T2T, Tower to Tour, testicles to throat.
Okay, here we go. Oh yes, on the land, clumsy, fat, horrible, but in the water, a thing of grace, and beauty, and power. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's it actually. Whew. I am actually feeling it a bit more than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Might be that the thermometer, because it was on the pump, was misreading.
Yeah, it could be a little bit cooler than that.
Yeah, it was. Another morning, another swim. The only thing that hurts at the moment is actually my feet, and I think I might make a move to put these boots on just before. Where the floor's wet, it's not a problem, but where the floor's dry, it's actually frosted, and my feet were getting rather cold in it. So give them a bit of a dry. There's some more boats, but they all look a bit derelict.
Yeah.
And over there, of course, the kayak.
Yeah, there's a kayaking base. And in the summer, you see that platform behind the bridge down there. They have concerts at night in the summer, and it's brilliant. It's a great atmosphere.
I love the balconies on these old places. Overlooking the river.
There's the market. Bonjour.
And these look smart to be worn with my kilt.
With your kilt? Oh,
Oui.
yes.
Ah, yeah, great. To it.
Yeah.
Or that this was the drawbridge end. Because, I mean, if you look here, you can see, I mean, this is that incredibly narrow
Yeah.
span. And then there's the two.
Yeah. Yeah. None of the spans are the same length or the same width.
Which way would the attack come from? I mean, the town's equally spread over both parts of the river. When did it expand onto that? What's the newest? Is that the newest part of the town?
No. This is still the old part of town, all the way until the Pujol gate on the other side.
So there may well have been a citadel here within the thing. So the town goes right around the river, but then the citadel bit goes into the side where they've managed to put it off because of the drawbridge. I think that's usually why you'd end up with such a displacement of the arches, is that the bridge only went so far.
Yeah.
Until time of war, when it was either burned away because that last part structure was wood, or lifted up. Medieval towns, they're fascinating, aren't they? And I mean, these things might have been built into the walls of the medieval town. If you look down there, that's proper stonework, isn't it? You would wet your clothes, put them on the side, give them a scrub, rinse them off, scrub them again, batter the water out of them, and then take them round to give them a final rinse in there where the water's cleanest.
Probably, yeah.
And then, wring them out and dry them over the rail. the laundry. I mean, and still clearly in use, not just as a laundry, but as some sort of public ablution. Check that out. That's not a.
Is that a razor?
It's a bit razor. It's twin bladed, and judging by its use, it's grey bristle on there. Have a look. It fills up. This fills up, and it's constantly being changed, but it's slow moving. But it must fill up from that tank. So I dare say once you've done all and fastened it all out, possibly rinse it in there. And then what you've got here is rinse water to wash in, and then the pure water to rinse off in the final time. And it all comes through here, through this. And this is the drain not at the bottom but at the top. So that the water is constantly circulated, comes through this hole down to the bottom. And all the way down.
And straight out.
That's the platform where you say the bands perform.
Yeah.
So everybody's
In the
looking
summer.
at the band, and the band appear to be on the water, and you've got that kind of auditorium
That's
at the back.
right. Yeah.
And those what look like concession stands. So I dare say you can buy all your beer and cornflakes and what have you. Cornflakes? Did I mean that? I meant popcorn, that sort of thing. And then watch the band play.
Yeah.
Which is nice against this really lovely backdrop with the bridge, and the bridge itself. I do find fascinating. I mean, where we were stood before, where the two arches were, there is an archway through the bridge there, but it's too narrow to actually see from here. And then leading on to these two. But originally, I suspect. I mean, that's an adventurous arch for the sort of medieval period, and I suspect these arches are older than those. That big one.
Yeah.
And the big one would have been either a wooden structure that could have been pulled down really rapidly.
Or would one of them be larger because the river would be deeper on the other side to let
boats
traffic
through.
go through?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. I mean, that space would always be there.
Yeah.
But that particular arch,
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think would have been. I think that would have been beyond them.
Yeah.
So what they would have had is a wooden structure of a bridge over the top, or some kind of disposable bridge that in times of war you could cut it off, and an enemy then couldn't cross the river.
Yeah.
But you can still maintain navigation through that thing,
Yeah.
and that doubles. So without actually looking into any archives of the town and things, you can only make a guess at that.
Yeah. Let me show you the new bridge, which is the Pont de la Libération.
Pont de la Libération. Now, I see it. We crossed it earlier. That is it.
Yes, that's the one.
There.
Yes, that's the one down
New
there.
bridge.
Yes.
This is the old bridge, obviously.
Yep.
And that's the new bridge. And that used to be called the new bridge, didn't it?
Yes, but there is a newer bridge now.
There's a newer bridge now. Yeah. So now the newer bridge has been called Pont de la Libération.
Yes.
Which liberation they're talking about, we don't know. The
Oh.
French have been liberated, as we know, many times, often from themselves. The Germans liberated them twice from their own tyranny, imposed a new tyranny, and then Britain, America and the rest of the world had to come and liberate them from the Germans. But over there is what you must say now is the new bridge.
The new bridge, yes. That's
I
the
mean-
new bridge there.
Not as quaint as the others, but still beautiful in its way.
Yep.
Nice spans. Bonjour. Relaxation, no. The EU have insisted that all buildings in Europe, and this was Mr. Lafarge, from UKIP, Simon Lafarge, a very good man, great speaker, and he was the one who insisted that if we were going to have standards across Europe, that there should be a standard of toilet, and this made the French have to fit their own toilets, which, although they don't use them, or their own bathrooms, that's right. But is his name Simon Lafarge? Nicholas Lafarge? Can you remember him, the UKIP fella from England?
No.
UKIP leader. Anyway, so and that was his way of turning European bureaucracy back on itself. And of course he then argues that we're spending millions on committees that don't do anything and that Britain should be out of it. But it's just another shout of madness in an otherwise mad world. Relax, I say. This is Montflanquin, or Montflanquin. It's an attractive bastide town. We're stood actually looking out at the view from it at the minute. It's listed as one of France's prettiest villages. It's laid out to an oval plan, and it clings to the hillside, rising sharply from the Lade Valley, which you see Jaypee passing around there. It was built around 1240, so that's more or less after the First Crusades and more or less the start of the Second Crusades, and that might affect some of the buildings later on. We'll see it later on, but there's a grid pattern of streets in the Bastide that were developed by Alphonse de Poitiers in 1252, and he organised the town's defences, which were later pulled down on the orders of Cardinal Richelieu. Defences cost a lot to maintain, and actually the way the place is built is it's self-defensive. It is a series of kind of concentric rings as it goes up the hill. So it's a natural fort. The enemy would have to come running up from these things, and they'd have to fight street by street. So between every street is a kind of killing ground. So there's no real need for the fortifications. It's really quite a wonderful thing. As we were driving up, as we spiralled up the streets, you really did see that, you know, once you'd got in or past one set of streets, there was another whole set to fight. So the actual fortifications and these really strong walls that were part of the landscape of medieval defensive architecture weren't really necessary here because of its prominent place. It's just stuck up like it is a mountain surrounded by sort of flat lands. You totally dominate everything that comes up here. So yeah, unless they're a bit sneaky and they come in at night and sort of bribe their way in. Yep, fortification's not really strictly necessary for this type of town. Nice one, Cardinal Richelieu. Put all the money in your own pocket. No, don't. You see it. What we've sort of come in at the back end of is a funeral. This is the town's crematorium, and they've had a mass cremation today. Obviously the French way is to save up the bodies of the people who died within the local community and then come along and have a mass cremation, which in this space obviously allows a lot of people to celebrate at the same time. We're down to just bones and embers now. Look.
Really?
Yes, of course. That hasn't happened. People have gone off to the local pubs now. The fire brigade, as usual in so many places, have very little to do except chat up the local women who seem to love them. I mean, it's obviously too cold to pose for the calendar shoot at this time of year. It's the other job that firefighters do. But there you go.
Allez, on continue notre animation, l'atelier décoration du sapin, on l'a dit, hein. La visite accompagnée aussi.
Yeah.
Du musée des
One moment, I'll translate this for you.
L'entrée gratuite maintenant à 15h. Nous avons aussi la banda Les Verts à Pied à 18h qui vont faire leur déambulation dans la Bastide. L'apéro-concert avec le groupe radical Satan, c'est organisé par l'association Le Belvédère. La soirée karaoké, dansante, restauration et boissons sur place, entrée gratuite, organisée par le tennis de table. Ça se passe à la salle d'Eiffel. Par exemple, si vous voulez faire la décoration
basically, there's been a problem. They're asking for people who have parked their cars on the eastern side of the town to move them into the western side. And I think he's issuing a prize now as well for, you know, best mourner of the week. Here we are then, after that absolutely marvellous bottle of joie de vie that we enjoyed at Jaypee's house, the really strong drink with the big burn down. The man responsible for making that is here, Oliver Bossine, Boulieu Ambulance. meaning mobile distillery. And if you look inside, you can see he's got up some of his rather rustic equipment, but he's making something of an industry of it. And I'll go back to the time, as Jaypee informed us, when people would bring out their
wine,
normal wine, to have it distilled away and turned into this much more potent brew. And here I'm looking at these bottles, which, to use the parlance of Jaypee, are probably only 50%. No, the French don't have a problem with drink. Certainly not. That's like saying, you know, not in the same way that the Arabs have a problem with water. Oh! Decadence to the nth degree. So, we only got the one. Still, we'll have our feature. Cola. Thank you. So there you are. €2 for a can of Coke. They did see me coming. This is the Chateau of Bonneguil. It's closed today. I suppose it's because it's out of season. It's bloody cold, and I don't suppose a lot of people would want to come and visit here. This is a really interesting feature for me, and for those people interested in medieval defensive architecture. The Chateau at Bonneguil was created and made over a period of hundreds of years, which go back right to the early part of the 12th century to the late 16th century. Now this is a significant period because, as you can see behind me, the tower, the fortress, built pre 13th century, is square. Now there's a reason for that. That was because in those days we could not build square towers. We lacked the science for it. That's why this is known as the Dark Ages. It's not just that we you know, no records were kept and we couldn't report things, but we'd lost all the skills that the Romans had given us, the means to build this stuff. Now, of course, you'll know that in the 12th century, 13th century, Roman Catholicism, if you like, became fundamentalist and radicalised, and the Pope ordered something of his own jihad, and we all went across to the Holy Land and tried to turn these Muslims, Jews and everybody else you could find there Christian. This was known as the Crusades. It actually joined Europe together. Instead of fighting each other, we now fought the people of the Middle East. Now the thing is that the Islam, the Muslims, the Saracens, if you like, they had science. They could build round towers. Now, one of the principles of medieval warfare in Europe was that you would find the cornerstone of the square towers that we used to build, dig a tunnel, get underneath it, prop up the cornerstone, burn away the props, the stone would fall, so would the tower, and the whole enemy would charge in and rape your wife and your daughters and kill your sons and generally flog you to the highest bidder. And that was the way it worked. Now, of course, that was in Europe, and of course we go over to the Holy Land and we meet, you know, these fabulous fortresses that the Saracens built, and they had round towers. And to show you how daft we were, it is well recorded at the siege of Acre that we actually tunnelled under the round towers of Acre to find cornerstones. Well, of course, round towers don't need them, so we couldn't drop the towers in the same way. So we reinvented stuff called Perriers, trebuchets and the like to haul heavy objects at these round towers. But a round tower dissipates the energy of anything thrown at it much more efficiently than a square tower does, so we couldn't knock them down. So we had to attack the curtain walls between these round towers, and the overlapping arcs of the round towers were murderous, and the Crusaders couldn't get anywhere near. And so basically the siege of Antioch, which was the first one that went that way, Antioch fell, and so did Acre and Jerusalem afterwards, because the Crusaders did what most people do with fortresses these days, that they paid someone to open the gates for them and let them in. So of course by the late 13th century and certainly the early 14th century, we see these fabulous round towers have been built. and medieval warfare, medieval defensive architecture changed as a result of that. So you can generally find that if you're finding fortresses with square towers, they usually date, they're pre-13th century, and if they're round towers, they're post-13th century. Quite a fascinating thing. It's a great pity the fortress is closed today, because also if we go back some ways now, you can see a slightly newer addition, again with a round tower. You can see what used to be the arrow loops, if you look carefully, all been turned over to windows now. But over here, lower down, you see this is a much more recent build. It looks old, but it's not as old as the other stuff. This is much more recent, and if you come up here, you stand here, you will see it wouldn't have been a bow and arrow pointing out of that, it would have been a machine gun. So it remained a fortress in its day right up until the 20th century. So although you can say it's a you know, a 13th century to 16th or 17th century, it's actually 20th century alterations have been made as the weaponry develops, the archaeology and the architecture changes to go with it. Fascinating, isn't it? Anyway, let's go for a cup of tea. This is quite new.
So what's at the top of that gate here?
This, well, the tower is no longer complete. It would have been a lot taller than this in its day. And this looks like the track for a portcullis. Basically a wooden mesh gate with heavy spikes on it, incredibly heavy. Several that I have at home weigh sort of 1.5 tons. And what they do is that they're held up, and that sort of, you know, moment your fighting forces are drawn into the thing. The ropes are cut that hold it up. It drops down and embeds into the thing, and the weight is just too much. You're not going to be able to lift it up with manpower alone. Although there is a lovely 1938 film with Errol Flynn as Robin Hood holding up a 1.5 ton portcullis while he swings his sword. But that was Errol Flynn for you. He was from Tasmania. I suppose they're very good at that. And then, you know, of course, then you'd be stuck here. You'd be hacking at the gate, trying to get it through with your axes and stuff. And there's no way on this short platform here. And you can tell we're quite high up. You're not going to get a battering ram to it. You're not going to be able to run a battering ram at it. So you're going to have to sort of chop it away with your poxy little swords and axes. And while you're doing that, the defenders are going to be throwing everything at you. You know, boiling waste, stones, arrows, everything that they can to sort of deter you from knocking this down. So this area then becomes a killing ground. So once this has come down, you know, as an attacking army, you're a bit buggered really. You've got to think of another way to get in, because I mean these gates are absolutely flimsy and these are in no way original. But the gates that would have been here would have weighed several tons and would have been closed against it. So the portcullis would have been the first of your worries to get through, and then the gates beyond it. And as you come through that, you've got to remember that you've got a lot of soldiers, but your massive soldiers can't fight because they can only fight this width. At best, you've got 6 or 7 men at the front. On the other side, of course, you could have people ranked in terraces all facing you.
Of course.
And once you've come through, you know, you're buggered. So there'll be a pile of bodies here at the end of the day if you come through. So that's why you would think of other ways of assault in the fortress. And this nearly always involves some kind of sneak raid that would have the object of getting the guys on the gates, killing them and opening the gates by some touch of legerdemain or whatever. But yeah, it's formidable. It's a good example of a gate, and I love it that you can see the trunnions for the pivot on it. Marvellous. I mean, it's entirely possible that the drawbridge itself, or those trunnions, could have had a double purpose. as a drawbridge and as a, you know, a gate. So it's a strange thing. But I rather suspect that was a portcullis. Judging by the range, you know, you've got a path to get up here. There's this, which would be intentionally flooded. It's very difficult to get in. I love this kind of ship deck that they've got on the top.
Yes.
Very unusual. You see all the square buildings date from that 13th century period, and this one has been rebuilt in the 16th and 15th centuries with the round towers that you now have.
Yeah.
You see, they're all common.
Yeah.
But everything prior to that was squared
Just
off.
square,
There's no circular bits in the 11th century model.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the 19th century, Rudyard Kipling wrote, "You may talk of gin and beer when you're quartered safe out here and been sent to penny fights and older shot it. But when it comes to slaughter, you'll do your work on water and you'll lick the blooming boots of him what's got it." And never a truer word was said. And I think it lovely here that the defenders of this fortress, knowing that the soldiers that would be fighting against them would be having a hard day, provided them with some drinking water, which is quite nice.
I thought it was more something like to use to poison the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose they could have done that. So now and again you see these ghosts of old doors that were there, and you don't know how many hundreds of years ago that was within these buildings that are just so old.
It could have.
What you're looking at now.
Could this have been filled in? Well, still centuries ago, or more recently than that?
It could well have been filled in more recently, you know, just a couple of hundred years ago, just to either provide more integrity for the main wall, or, you know, to give it better designs. But it's probably centuries old, that alteration, because when they built it, it was probably safe to have doors that wide, that low. But as weapon systems improved, you know, you narrow it down, and the places where they can come in, and you can see over there a similar archway, which has been closed and filled in, and it's got those kind of loops. Now, whether those loops are for some sort of crossbow to be pointed through and shot, so you've got a small amount of traverse, or whether that would allow, you know, more modern weapons such as a machine gun to come through. You just don't know. Oh, well, you know, you'd know if it was on some sort of Second World War records, or some records from the, you know, the First World War possibly. But unless the paperwork's in for the work that was done, and it's been kept and it's not been destroyed in you know, with all your so-called revolutions, which aren't actually revolutions, because you always end up back where you started. I mean, the poor are still getting upset, the rich are still rich. So yeah, that's revolutions for you. I much prefer movements.
Well, we've just had this bottle of 2010 Barsac, and that was really lovely. I thought it'd be a bit young, but I really enjoyed that. There was a lot of honey, and I don't know what you thought of it.
I loved it. I loved it. Yeah.
And I think what we should do is compare it to something that's quite a bit older than that.
How much older?
Well, this is a Sauternes from 1988.
22 years older.
Yes.
It's old enough to be its dad.
That's the daddy.
Hey,
we're going to have the daddy now.
So we could have the daddy of all wines now.
Yep.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have any more foie gras to eat it with.
Oh, that's okay. Because to be honest, I don't think I could eat any more. But I know we have chocolate.
We have chocolate, yeah. I think it'll go quite nicely with the chocolate.
Okay, let us do that. We should open this later and continue.
All right,
later.
let's open it. That's lovely. That's very complex. You can see, to start with, how much darker this is. I mean, this is amber, quite dark amber. What's the other one with the...
Yeah, just put it against the white of your shirt. Let's just see how amber that is. It does. You're not listening. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, down again, down, 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 down. Yeah. Well, this is my glass here. So.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, it is. It is complex.
It is.
It's complex. It's like honey infused with cashews.
I get the honey, I'm not sure I'm getting the cashews.
Not cashews. No. What do you think in lieu of cashews then?
Grapes.
You are French, aren't you?